Shalom. It's Fallen Yeshua. Welcome again to the Rock. Before I start the video, I just want you to look at this. I am growing these, starting these 3 or 4 years ago, and people told me, you can't grow grapes. You're this, that, and the other, and 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 everybody had a lot of things to say. And as you can see now, we probably have a good 15 clusters of grapes. Responding to some questions on a fear of failure. I got many questions about that. And if anybody else is asking, these vines right here, these are passion fruit. These are passion fruit. As you can see, they are starting to, that one was starting to flower. They're starting to flower. So we'll be getting an abundance. And this just came up when we cut the land back and allowed the sunlight to hit the soil. But anyways, fear of failure, answering questions. I think one of the issues that we have when it comes to failure is that most people are scared of failure only because that you have given over your power to other people. What I mean by that is, you're not really scared. We're just going to look at the Jerusalem Artichokes right now. You're not really scared of the failure. Because failure, the definition of failure is a lack of success. That's like the general, most accepted definition of failure. And we all know that when you're doing things, you're not going to get it right the first time. This is my first year harvesting grapes, and those grapes have been here for about 4 years, I believe. And praise y'all, we have grapes. But I think that a lot of people are afraid of what somebody else is going to say if you are wrong, and not even wrong, if you make a mistake. Because we have to get this idea that because we're not successful the first time does not mean we are a failure. In sports, in homesteading, in farming, and gardening, look at our ancestors in the Bible. Look at our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You're trying to tell me they didn't make mistakes that they had to grow from? That's part of the growing process. There are no shortcuts to growing. None. Unless you're Monsanto. But most of us have that fear of what somebody else is going to say. I see a lot of brothers experience that when they leave their favorite church, camp, ministry, assembly. When they leave that and they go out to serve Yah, to serve Him, they are very fearful of failure. So they don't try anything. Why? Because these churches, these camps, these ministries, they sit back and they watch you. Here's some more passion fruit flowers. Look at those things. Right there. They sit back and they watch you, these groups do. So that when you slightly slip up, they can go to their congregation and say, see, this is what happens when you leave us. The Most High leaves you. And they fear you back into returning back to them. Actually, they fear you into bringing back your money, your tithes, your offerings, your servitude, your hard work back to them. So what people do is, when they separate from those wicked groups, they sit on the sideline and do nothing because they're afraid. They're afraid that when some sort of situation comes, there your enemies are going to be, and and then they're going to tell you, and because you're not grounded in the word of Yah, you're going to listen to these folks tell you, see, that's because you turned against us, and now you're going to want to go back. So you just sit there and waste away. I've seen women do this in regards to marriage. I don't want to, if I ask that guy, what if he says no? What if I really like him? I would like to be part of his house. What if I ask him and he says no? Then he says no and you move on. Then he said, or you ask him, hey, what can I do to change that answer to a yes? What can I do? How can I be that person for you? And then weigh it and see, is it something you can do if he tells you? But instead, well, I'm afraid of being rejected. I have a fear of rejection. I have a fear of failure. All these fears. Rejection is part of life. So you're going to sit there on the sideline and watch everybody else live their lives while you sit back and hope that one day that the person magically comes to you. I didn't hope that one day, we're looking at Jerusalem artichokes right now. I didn't hope that one day Jerusalem artichokes just popped up out of my soil. I had to go and put them in the soil, and there were times that I failed. Well, I didn't fail. See, I'm even trained to use those words. I didn't fail. It just took time to get used to the soil. Sometimes it takes time to build your soil. It didn't mean you failed, because technically you had the success of learning what not to do. Now, obviously, you don't want to live your life learning what not to do. You want to actually start bearing fruit like we saw those grape plants. But too many people operate in this fear of failure, a fear of what my mama's going to say, a fear of what my daddy's going to say. I'm fearful because they're going to say, girl, you changed. I'm fearful. So you're fearing, what you actually fear is success. Because the path to success, the Bible tells us that there is a narrow path. And few there be that find it. And if you spent any time on that narrow path serving Yah, you will know that it is impossible to do and not be in one way or another hurt or damaged, because there is so many traps on that path that the devil tries to set to get you to turn around and turn back. Every calamity, every trial, every tribulation, people look at, I need to turn around. Anytime you fall, Yah's not with me. And you've been taught that by your damn church. Your damn church taught you that shit. The only failure that I fear is a failure to not move in the path that Yah has laid out for me. That is the failure that I fear. I fear that failure. I have that righteous fear of knowing that if I do not do and go where Yah sent me and do what Yah sent me to do, then I have failed. Well, I don't give a damn if these churches, these ministries who are sitting on the sideline waiting for something to befall you. Meanwhile, shit befall them all the time. But they always wave that off as some curse or somebody prayed against them. But they'll sit there and watch you and hope and wait for you to fall. If your car breaks down, it's because you spoke against the church. If a child gets sick, it's because you spoke against the church. And they fear you into that. So you feel like, I don't want to walk any of this path out. Because if I start walking this path out and something befalls me, if I move out in the woods and my gardens don't succeed, or I dig a well and I didn't hit water, so I have to dig another well, we look at it and say, see, Yah's cursing us. So we don't try, and we sit back. Some of y'all, it's your mama, it's your father, it's your brother, it's your sister. I'm not saying don't take counsel from these people. What I am saying is a lot of times, like it says in Sirach, they will counsel you for the benefit of themselves. They will give you counsel for their benefit. They don't want you to leave. You know, your single mama, I'm talking to you, sisters, your single mama that don't want you to go and get married because she's afraid that she's going to be by herself. Well, hey, if she hadn't ran off every man that she was with, then she wouldn't be charged with being by herself. But because she's ran off every single man that she's been married to or supposed to be married to, now she's forced with the idea when it's time for you to go get married that she's going to be by herself. And it's going to be back to her life of Pookies and Ray Rays. Brother, the reason why your friends and family don't want you to leave and go out there in the woods could possibly be because they have a dependency on you. So they speak And this is what happens in today's culture. Everybody speaks to your fear. When I'm not speaking to your fear, I'm trying to speak to your saving. I tell you things that the watchman tells the people. Hey, the sword is coming. Not to fear you, but it is to put a little bit of fire on it behind you, let you know, hey, get some pep in your step. But I'm not trying to speak to your fear. If you say, well, I'm not afraid and I'm just going to do what I want to do, more power to you. I'm speaking to the ones that are wondering, man, I know what the Bible says. I know I should get married. I know I should come out of her. I know I should make this move, this move, this move, and this move. So I'm just speaking to those people. I don't run around trying to check if somebody disagrees with me or doesn't like me, what's happening in their life. So I could fear everybody else. See, a lot of you, especially you churchgoers, I'm talking about churchgoers, you who go to church, quote unquote church. Not talking about Israel, not talking about those that follow the word, not talking about those that keep the commandments. I'm talking about those that go to church and you spend your time in church being scared shitless. You go to church to get your daily dose of bullshit and fear, so that you can continue to pursue your fire escape religion. And that could be those of you in the faith too. Well, I don't walk in this life of fear. I don't walk in being scared. I don't have a fear of failure because I know that process to success isn't a one-time thing. You do it, you did it right the first time, you're excellent, and you ain't got to worry about it no more. I understand the process. I understand the trials and tribulations of what it is to add to your house, to teach and nourish another person that has been nourished by this world, as many of my other brothers do. I understand planting seed into the ground and growing it and then eating from the fruit that you put into that ground, that seed you put in the ground, cultivating it to bear fruit. I understand that. And when you understand that, you don't have a fear of failure, you have a longing for this. You know that if I'm a righteous, holy servant who keeps Yah's law, he got me. But if I'm wicked, I'm not going to have this. So don't run around and spend your life fearful of failure. Again, if you're living wicked, sure, you need to be fearful of failure. But you need to start living your life under the promises of what Yah said he's going to do, because you're obedient. Hey, I'm a wife, I'm a woman, I'm going to go get married. I'm a man, I'm going to separate from this world. I'm going to be separate. I'm going to transform my mind and the way I think and the way I live. I'm going to do these things. And I trust in Yah. And I don't care what everybody else says. I don't fear their words. They can go ahead and watch. And if I stumble and I fall, then guess what? I stumble and I fall. But the one thing that they're not going to see is they're not going to see me fall and wallow. They're going to see me get my ass back up until I get to where I'm supposed to be. Because that's the biggest failure. The biggest failure is not moving when Yah told you to move and not obeying his book. Bless you. Shalom.